Anne Dennis, the Councillor for the New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council Australia, and the plight for brothers in the Pacific. It's quite distressing. In Australia, the New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council, we welcome the recent announcement by the federal government supporting an increase in First Nations water ownership. We remind state jurisdictions that they must also progress First Nations ownership of water in alignment with their obligations under the Closing the Gap National Agreement. And as we've seen in New South Wales, there's still a long way to go. And the New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council, we call on increased water allocations to Aboriginal land councils for social, cultural and economic purposes. Need to identify and action opportunities for Aboriginal people to have greater ownership of and access to water for cultural and economic purposes. Include formal roles for Aboriginal people in New South Wales, water governance and management arrangements. Ensure funding is allocated to support genuine involvement of Aboriginal land councils and Aboriginal communities in water governance and management processes. Establish clear accountability mechanisms to ensure that the New South Wales government delivers on its commitment to the New South Wales Water Strategy and the Closing the Gap New South Wales implementation plan, and deliver a statewide Aboriginal water strategy that has been developed in genuine partnership. Because really the New South Wales Aboriginal Land Rights Act is facilitating the return of lands and to Aboriginal people in New South Wales. Mechanisms to support our ownership of and decision making in relation to water are not similarly recognised. Our ownership of water is minuscule and has been going backwards. For example, while Aboriginal people in the Murray-Darling Basin constitute nearly 10% of the total population, Aboriginal organisations only hold 0.2% of the available surface water in the basin and 0.1% across the state. The decrease in Aboriginal water holdings between 2009 and 2018 indicate a new wave of dispossession. Almost 1/5 of Aboriginal water holdings by volumes were lost during this time. The National Agreement on Closing the Gap provides an important framework for governments to work in partnership with us and to ensure Aboriginal people maintain distinctive cultural, spiritual, physical and economic relationships with water and advance Aboriginal people's rights and interest in water. This is particularly important given the devastating events that occurred in New South Wales recently. In March this year, millions of fish died in a mass kill in the Lower Darling Baaka River near Menindee in New South Wales, far west, and the death has been attributed to low oxygen levels in the water as floodwaters receded in these areas. In summer of 2018 and 19, similarly large mass fish deaths also occurred in the area. Although the deaths of millions of fish were documented, the significant negative effect that it had on local communities, particularly the traditional Barkindji people, was largely ignored. Local Aboriginal communities have long traditions of harvesting fresh fish, and these species and the rivers are intrinsic in cultural identity and belief system. There is a significant loss and despair felt throughout local communities in the wake of these events, and as well as a shared frustration regarding water management and policy decision making surrounding future health of the Murray-Darling Basin. Claims of water mismanagement and poor river health have been raised constantly as potential cause of the mass deaths, despite being rejected by state government departments as a contributing factor. Water quality concerns have also been raised, and there is an uncertainty around the quality of water and even following the clean-up efforts. The impact of this mismanagement is far-reaching, and acknowledgement must be made to the disproportionate effects of these kills on cultural and spiritual well-being of Aboriginal people. We can build the capacity of local Aboriginal people through the 120 local Aboriginal land councils and employment opportunities, as well as cultural opportunities to build that capacity in our communities if the government actually works in partnership with us. Thank you.